Don't leave. I'm talking about anime. Welcome to the first episode of Does This Measure Up? Today, I'm measuring My Dress Up Darling Season 2, as I just finished it today. Well, actually yesterday, because right now it's 2:48 a.m. and it's October 1st. So yesterday, September 30th, I finished it. So, yeah. My Dress Up Darling originally came out in 2022 for the, I believe, winter season. Because it came out around the same time as Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2 did in 2022. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very unhappy during that time. However, life was good. It was just the videos I was making. However, in 2025, same thing. It's just vice versa. Instead of the videos making me unhappy, it's life. So I think it's the perfect time for My Dress Up Darling to have come back into my life. And you know what? It didn't disappoint. I thought that this season was actually superb, to be completely honest with you. I took some notes on Google Docs to keep myself focused and know where I'm talking about. So if I happen to look over here for a little bit and stare, that's why. But first thing I want to get out of the way is stuff that's not really necessarily story related, but I just appreciated. One of those things was Marin Kitagawa's room. She has a lot of posters of her favorite things around that, like her favorite series and eroges and all that. I know I should have expected that, and I'm an idiot for forgetting that she would have been into that stuff as far as like having posters. But I remembered after seeing it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's actually really cool as well. Because I want to get posters of certain things, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, for example. It's also like really nice to see Kitagawa's mannerisms again. You know, like for example, like she has like and I took notes of this specifically because I just appreciate it. Like whenever she says already, instead she'll say already. That might be a nothing burger to appreciate, but I appreciate it. So you know what? It's being talked about. Also, the opening and ending themes I actually think are a lot better than the first seasons, as, to be honest with you, I forgot what the ending and openings were. I'm not gonna lie. But I remember the, maybe it's just because it's fresher in my mind why I remember both the opening and ending. But like the ending, for example, Kawaii Kaiwai, actually a bop. The Doki, you know. And also the stylings in that one, like, bro. There's some points, it just looks like a game you'd see on like the SNES in the ending. I'd appreciate that a lot, to be honest with you. And just the song as well, again, is a bop. So, there's those two things. I do also think that the discussions around Season 2 have been interesting, because I haven't seen any of the discussions. To be honest with you, I would not have known that Dress Up Darling came back if I didn't follow a Marin Kitagawa fan page on Instagram. And I saw episode 1 came out, and I was like, it's back. And I didn't, to be honest as well, while I'm on the topic, I did not, for the first few minutes, I did not think it was My Dress Up Darling. I thought I clicked onto the wrong anime. But I skipped through a little bit, being like, let's just go to the middle of the episode. And I just realized, okay, it is. I figured out it's just because they were watching a TV show. Yeah, but for a little bit, I didn't think it was My Dress Up Darling. Fun fact. But the discussions around this, I only saw discussions afterwards for like 2 episodes, which was episode 1 and 2. And like episode 3 and after, I swear I've seen literally no discussion about. If I wasn't watching it, I would have literally not even known that those episodes had aired. Because I saw no discussions about them, which I don't understand, because I think this season's a lot better than season 1. I guess there were some slower moments at the end of the day, but like the slower moments weren't not slow in the way that like they were boring. It's just they built up characters and the story and all that. But I don't know, I feel like it was better at the end of the day than what season 1 was. Now, I'm going on to some things that are kind of spoilers, but not, I'm going to try to be vague with the spoilers whenever I do talk about them. But there are things I'm going to talk about now that's actually regarding the story and where everything happens. There are 2 major events that happen throughout this season. One being the beauty pageant that happens, and a second being a group cosplay. I'm gonna talk about the group cosplay in a minute because I don't know, I actually will probably talk about a little bit of spoilers regarding that versus the beauty pageant. I'll only have to talk about the outcome, but as far as like everything that happens during the beauty pageant, like getting ready for it, I'm just gonna kind of leave that up to you watching if you're interested. But the beauty pageant starts as like a bit of a competition among classes, and Kitagawa and Gojo's class are all working to make this the best so that their class wins. Kitagawa gets picked as the person to like do the cosplay of the character that they choose because, you know, she's like the most obvious candidate of winning if they do win. And she picks a character for a really popular show in the world of My Dress Up Darling, which is Rei-sama. I'm forgetting the name of the series that they have in there. I'll put it up on screen. But she cosplays them, and I'm just going to be honest, skip to this time to avoid any spoilers, as I know some people don't like spoilers at all. So, yeah. But the outcome is that their class wins, and Kitagawa wows the crowd. I guess not really shocking, considering that it's... Yeah, but, like, you know, maybe it's shocking to some of you. I don't know. Now that the beauty pageant out of the way, I want to go back to episode 1. I think episode 1 had a bit of a slow start in a way that's kind of like, wow, this episode's kind of dragging. Or at least it was for me. I feel like that's my fault, though, because I was going in with the expectation that it'd probably be quicker or just as quick as I felt episode 1 in season 1 was. Now, to be fair, I have not watched My Dress Up Darling since 2022, so maybe I'm just remembering it being faster than what it actually was. But I feel like I overhyped myself in terms of how quick it would be, and that the beginning was just slower than what I wanted it to be. So I feel like that's honestly just my fault rather than the anime's fault. But I don't know, maybe some of you share that same opinion with me. But I just kind of blame myself for thinking it was slow due to my expectations. But I think after episode 1, it gets a lot quicker. But the things I do remember in episode 1, they go to a karaoke bar with some friends and have a nice time. Gojo's kind of nervous as he sits dressed up in a bunny costume. He just like me, for real, for real. But, yeah, but they do get... Marin wants to get a selfie with Gojo and almost succeeds until a group of her friends come and get a selfie with them. So it's not just her and Gojo, it's her, Gojo, and a couple of friends. Those are like the two things I remember. And again, I think that the episodes get a lot quicker after episode 1. And this is due also to some of the characters that are introduced. I honestly don't really remember any characters from season 1 outside of Gojo, Kitagawa, Gojo's grandfather, Shinju, and Juju. There are some characters I remember in the sense of like, yeah, they existed, and this is why we get introduced to these other characters like Kitagawa and Gojo, but I don't remember the names. Like the girl from his childhood, then actually now I think about it, did she even have a name? I don't think she did. Actually, did any of those characters actually have names? I was thinking about Kitagawa's class, or the people that made fun of her for liking anime. Did any of these characters actually have names? I don't know, but like, I feel like these characters are a lot more memorable in this season than what they were in season 1. Which is why I also think that they move a little quicker in terms of the story, even in the slower moments after episode 1. Like, Gojo's always had a bit of a low self-esteem regarding him making dolls because of that childhood experience. But in season 2, in episode 2 specifically, they introduce a new character named Amane, who is a cross-dresser. Now, due to an experience that they had, but still pushing through regardless, this kind of helps Gojo build up his confidence a little bit to be like, oh. And honestly, Amane is just also a really cool character. I like Amane a lot. But probably my favorite character for this season, and just one of my favorite characters in My Dress Up Darling so far, definitely top 3, is Akira. Akira is a girl who Gojo thought was going to be a guy before they met, and honestly, Akira also thought that Gojo was going to be a girl before they met. So their feelings were mutual in terms of shock. I personally related to Akira in a couple of spaces, like for example, the way her parents are. Akira's like a big manga nerd. However, her mom, for example, just got rid of all of her manga every time she would get new ones because her mom views them as childish. I'm not going to go into how I relate to this, but I relate to this in a sense, not the exact same sense or anything, but in terms of like being forced to grow up and all that, I relate to that, to be honest. So it felt nice seeing Akira. And again, she is my favorite character for season 2. So, well, aside from Kitagawa, you know, I really like Kitagawa. Now, along with Amane and Akira being discussed, there's also the group cosplay event that happens towards the later half of the season. And they bring back 2 of the characters from season 1, which are Juju and Shinju. I actually like Shinju more after this season. Like, originally, Juju was my favorite character until I thought back on it and liked Kitagawa more. So I was really happy to see Juju back. But Juju this season made me like her a whole lot more. Shinju, I mean, for herself, made me like her a whole lot more than what I originally did. Where I was like, oh, Shinju's actually kind of awesome. Like, I mean, I always kind of liked her, but I wasn't over here, like, going crazy about Shinju. But Shinju this season had me like, ah? I don't know. That was my reaction to Shinju this season. I don't know if anybody else had that reaction or if they've already had it in season 1, but that was my reaction for this season to her. Now, the cosplay event is for a game, a visual novel specifically, that is in the anime and manga, of course, because, you know, My Dress Up Darling is a manga that got adapted into an anime. I forget the name of the game, so I'll flash it on screen. But the game, I want to get onto the not serious stuff first, because there are some serious things that happen in this game that I want to discuss in a kind of non-spoiler way, but it kind of can't be helped discussing it, so I'll be as vague as possible. But as far as like this non-serious stuff which I'm discussing, there are no spoilers. I just want to talk about the game's art style and all that. The art style is like a sprite animation, and it was so nice, because every time I see a visual novel, it's like Doki Doki Literature Club or Danganronpa, where it's like your typical anime style, but, you know, with its own unique look, kind of. I don't know, did Doki Doki look unique? I don't really think it did. I think Danganronpa kind of does. But Doki Doki looks like a kind of typical anime style. And by Danganronpa, I mean, like, the bigger eyeballs and I don't know. It's kind of typical, kind of not. But this game had, like, a very, like, it's the sprite animation of, like, the anime style, and it's a visual novel, and I don't know, it just, and the color scheme of it, it just, I can't, it looked absolutely amazing. I loved how it looked, and I wish it was a real game, because I kind of want to play it. Even if it's a fan-made or official, I wanted to see it be a real game. I don't think it'll ever be a real game if it's not real by now, but maybe if the anime were popular, or is, I don't know, maybe they'll consider it. But I want to see it if it's possible for it to be made into a real game. I'm not talented enough to do that in my current state, so I can't make that. But now that I've gotten my thoughts on the art style out of the way, I kind of want to get into these serious discussions that are going to be spoiler related. The reason that they're even playing this game is because, you know, Gojo as always likes to do his research on each thing that Kitagawa does a cosplay for, as far as like getting the props and everything, as well as the cosplay itself. He likes doing that stuff because then it's just like, aha, I got it. There are some very serious topics, and I will say go to this timestamp on screen to not hear anything about this, which also will have spoilers discussed, so just go there as well if you don't want to be spoiled at all. Now with that out of the way, on to the serious stuff. Throughout the story of the game, the main character becomes a bit mentally unstable, or at least it becomes more evident than what it was. Her dialogue options become a lot more erratic, I guess you could say, incoherent. I forget which one it would be, but either way, she's mentally unstable. And there's a big revelation regarding the other characters that I'm not going to spoil, though, because you should just still go watch it. And I'm trying to be vague for where I can be. But there is a bit of something that regarding the other characters that show her mental instability a lot more. And where her mental instability stems from is from childhood experiences with her father, as her father, under the guise of it being normal because they're related and that it should be okay for that reason, either sexually assaulted or straight up raped the main character. while she was still a child. I'm not gonna, they don't show anything, but I will say that they do kind of go into detail about certain places that are touched, for example, which I'm not going to discuss in terms of saying them aloud here because, you know, very yucky lines. But if you want, well, I guess you don't want to hear those. Hopefully you don't. And I can see why people, even if they haven't gone through that type of experience, could view it being uncomfortable to sit through, so they just skip that episode entirely. But especially for those that have had that experience, I could see where that would be very triggering for them, and it kind of sucks because it's like, I think it is a very good episode at the end of the day, but I also don't think anybody that's gone through that type of experience should have to be forced to remember anything like that, because that is a horrible experience for anybody. So, but yeah, I think was still cool to see, in the sense of like, maybe for those that have gone through that experience, they could find some form of comfort through watching this. I don't know, that's kind of how I could see it in terms of it being a positive. I don't know. I don't know where to go with it from this episode onward. Gojo as well, while playing this game, decides to drink a lot of an energy drink to stay awake all night because the trains were not working, so he wasn't able to go back to his place. So Kitagawa allows him to stay at her place, but her dad isn't there, and Gojo feels weird if he sleeps there, so he tries to stay awake all night, because then that means he didn't sleep at Kitagawa's place. However, for where they get the energy drinks from, Kitagawa mistakes what he's getting and thinks he's getting a Aphrodisiac. I think I said that word right. I don't know enough about that thing to say it right, but I think I said it right. However, I will admit that I saw a Maple Star animation, and I saw this episode and I was like, wait, that happens in the series? So, I don't know, for some reason I was like, am I gonna see something happen? I didn't think I would because of certain things that happen in the manga that I've been spoiled on, but I was over here like, is there a possibility? Because, I don't know, I was just going based off of the fact that Maple Star animated this scene practically being like, what I thought it was going to be is that she just mistook the intention and it's kind of came out in a certain type of attire. I don't know. I'm just going off of like what I was thinking during this episode. I was over here just thinking, how far would it go in terms of like, before she realizes, oh, he's not wanting to do that. Fuck Maple Star, bro. He had to be like sitting over here like feeling like a gooner because of his own animations. Why is my camera lagging? Being a gooner so bad it makes your camera lag. Keep that in mind next time you try to goon. As far as the ending of the season, I actually liked it a lot. Now, through the season, Kitagawa, has been trying to build up the confidence to confess to Gojo about how she feels about him, but has failed every time because she just didn't have enough confidence or courage to tell him. But in this last episode, it seems very likely she's at least going to tell him, hey, I like you. And even as he's about to leave after dropping her luggage off, she grabs his hand to stop him. Which made me think, oh, she's actually going to do it, because I did not think she was going to. I thought she was going to, find a reason to not do it. But she grabbed his hand, I was like, wait, she's actually going to. But then instead, she asked for a selfie, which kind of ties it back to the first episode where she wanted to get that selfie with him, but the friends group came along. Which made it very cool in my mind, because then it ties everything together, and she got the selfie. And also it led to baby steps, because, in the real world, people are awkward. They're a little scared about confessing. Because, it's a hard thing to try to do. It's a little scary because it's like, what if they say no? And that's something that they did explore as to why she doesn't confess whenever she first feels like it. But you know what? Relationships in terms of getting that confidence takes time. And I think as long as they don't basically stay in the same place for an entire season, then it's all good. I know that's why I feel annoyed sometimes whenever I see a romance series and then they don't confess at first, because it's just like they stay at the same place. I don't watch a whole lot of anime, so I haven't experienced that too much. But for the few that I have, it is a little like, okay, yeah, I can see this is annoying. But whenever they actually kind of progress, even if it's through baby steps, I appreciate it a lot, to be honest. So I think that the ending for My Dress Up Darling Season 2 actually had a strong contender of an ending. It isn't a perfect season, but it doesn't have to be. It's a genuinely fun series with really nice characters and a cool story. So I measure My Dress Up Darling Season 2 with 8 inches. Just go watch it if you're interested. I promise you'll enjoy it. Hopefully this was a fun little video to make. I'd like to do more of these in the future if I can, because I like talking and nerding out about things. So, yeah. Thumbs up. Please give the video a like, comment, and subscribe, as it helps me out a lot. And, yeah. I don't know. Go watch My Dress Up Darling. It's really fun. Start as Season 1 if you haven't already, and continue on from there. And, with that, I'll take my leave.